Coincidentally, hurricane season lines up with the nesting and hatching seasons of multiple species of sea turtles. These turtles nest on beaches that are often in the path of powerful storms. Hatchlings usually emerge during the heart of hurricane season, so poor timing, unfortunately. Sarah Hirsch, director of research at the Loggerhead Marinelife Center, joins us with more on how these animals weather the storm. Sarah, tell us a little bit about how hurricanes can affect their nesting sites and some of the survival rates. I mean, from my lack of knowledge, but a little bit that's there, sea turtles already have a hard start in the beginning in order to just get to that second phase of life, and then you add on hurricanes to that.
Yeah, so they do have quite a tough life, but we do what we can to help support their populations. Sea turtles hedge their bets. So there's that saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's exactly what sea turtles do. And so their strategy is to lay their nests over a few months of season and to lay multiple nests within those few months. They're also scattering them across the beach, so north and south and east and west across the beach. And by scattering their nests across space and time, the goal is that at least one of those nests will be successful.
And, you know, hurricane season has been really awful for Florida, especially 2024 season. We had Helene and Milton washed out all the remaining nests last year. And when they hit, what kind of impact did that have on the population of hatchlings? What does that mean for sea turtles over the next few years? And going into this next hurricane season, what are some conservation efforts that you guys are working on right now?
Yeah, so we thankfully didn't lose every single nest in the state of Florida from those hurricanes. So there were some beaches that were not as impacted. For instance, here I'm in Juno Beach, Florida on the East Coast, and our nests actually didn't get impacted too severely by those two hurricanes. So again, by these animals kind of spreading their nests out across space and time, we did have some nests that produced hatchlings, so it wasn't a complete loss last year. That being said, you know, we always want to give these animals the best chance that they can have. We obviously can't control the weather. So what we encourage people to do is to help the turtles by changing behaviors that we can control. So making sure that your lights out are during nesting season, to make sure all lights are out. Even cell phones on the beach can disorient hatchlings and cause them not to make it to the water. We encourage people to keep our beaches clean, dark, and flat. So removing any obstacles for them while they're coming up to nest at night, removing your trash, all of that stuff will help these animals when we can't control things like the weather.
So many people think about the trash on beaches and how to mitigate that to keep our beaches cleaner, but you also have to think about the marine life that make these beaches home. We share them, not only with other humans, but with other animals. One thing that I did when I was looking up some research, sand temperature is really important for sea turtles, depending on if it's a male or a female, and that all plays roles. What are some other environmental factors that can influence where and when these turtles choose to nest during the season?
Yeah, so temperature is a very big cue for sea turtles. And it is a concern that we are having as we see temperatures rise. We are seeing that the population might be kind of trending towards producing more females. We have the saying, hot chicks, cool dudes. So as those temperatures rise, we're producing more females in the population. And at some point, we could actually start hitting some lethal temperatures where the temperature is actually just too hot for these animals. So to counterbalance that, we actually have things like rainfall, right? Rain can help cool the sand down. And some of these storms, as long as they're not severe, if they're having some overwash or the waves coming up over the nest, as long as that water is able to drain and it's not sitting in the nest for long periods of time, some of that overwash can actually, again, help cool down the nest and counteract those hot temperatures.
Florida is known for being so hot. And so, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of different things that sea turtles have adapted to make sure that they can brave some of these environmental factors. What happens, though, as a hurricane is making landfall? I know a lot of animals, they almost have this sixth sense about them, and they move away from that area. Is that what the parents of these sea turtles do, or do they hang around their nest to try and protect them as best they can?
Yeah, so sea turtles have no parental oversight. So once the female lays her eggs, she leaves those eggs on the beach and she does not ever see those eggs again. And while she's offshore waiting to lay her next set of eggs, depending on where she is, if a hurricane comes through, we have actually seen that some of those turtles move into deeper waters. That way, they're less affected by those surges that can occur closer to the water, or sorry, closer to the coastline.
I feel like everybody can learn a little bit of something from all of the animals that make these environments their home, and we'll be sure to continue to protect these sea turtles and their hatchlings when we make our trips to the beaches this summer. Sarah Hirsch, Director of Research for the Loggerhead Marinelife Center, thanks so much for joining us and sharing some of your expertise.
Thank you for having us.